Hi, good morning, everybody. Thanks for taking time to come to this discussion about Gen AI and education. So let's see, I'm part of the computer science faculty at San Francisco State. I also have a joint appointment with Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. I've been at San Francisco State for a couple of years. Before that, I was a senior computer scientist at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab and helped shape research program in high performance data intensive scientific computing. And part of my motivation for coming to San Francisco State is to help train the next generation of scientists and engineers. So the three things that I wanted to talk about today are how we're using AI in an applied computational science research project. I'm going to show you a demo, right? So I want to show you the technology in action. And so fingers crossed that there's no disaster. And then I want to talk a little bit about Gen AI in our department. Good. So the science problem is a fusion energy sciences problem. And in fusion energy sciences, a fusion reactor consists of this donut-shaped device called a tokamak, in which they ignite a plasma. And so the plasma burns at 1,000,000 degrees, and the plasma is controlled by magnets. And so one of the objectives is to have a nice, well-behaved plasma, because if the thing goes crazy, 1,000,000 degrees is going to burn the wall of the tokamak, right? It'll melt the device. And so one of the objectives is to be able to have a digital twin that models certain aspects of the plasma in real time. But the problem is that these codes, these physics codes, are very computationally expensive, even on supercomputers. They can take anywhere from tens of minutes to tens of hours to run. So the code itself is not viable for use in real-time controls. So a project that we started a few years ago, while I was still at LBL full-time, was to generate AI-based surrogates. So these AI-based surrogates are chunks of code that are an AI model that mimics what the physics code does. And so we had some success in doing that. They reduced the runtime of the physics codes from hours or days down to milliseconds. And so this is actually a viable approach for use in real-time experimental control. However, there was a lengthy development time. It took a team of 5 or 6 people, half physicists, half computer science people. Yeah, we worked on this for like 2.5 to 3 years before we got some results. And so the current problem that we're looking at is, can we use AI to generate AI? That's the key problem that we're trying to solve. And so I have a sub-award now from MIT, who are some of the partners on the project, to look at this very question. And I have a team of students who I've shown here. We're looking on this. And so the approach is to leverage GitHub's Copilot, which you're going to see in action, to generate models and compare model accuracy with previous work. So let's see. I'm going to the results so far. Took the original team, more than 2 years to come up with 3 different methods, and the current approach that we're taking using AI to generate AI, in a couple of months, we have the same 3 methods producing better model accuracy, but we're not quite done yet. And some of the successes here, we can generate code quickly, which is nice, but there's a ton of shortcomings, most notable of which is that there's deep understanding required of both the data, the computational problem space, as well as the code that's actually being generated. So it's not a simple turnkey process. So all right, so fingers crossed. Here we go. This is where the rubber hits the road, so to speak. So let's see here. Sorry, bear with me for a second. Okay, so this is Visual Studio Code, which is a code development environment that a lot of students like to use. And basically what I'm going to do, I have some pre-prepared prompts here. I'm asking Copilot to generate a sampling of a function, and I'm defining the range of the function. And so I enter this, and Copilot, oh good, it's actually working. It generates code. And I'll say, sure, I'll accept that code. And now I'm going to run it. Oh, and I asked this code to generate a plot for me. So I'm starting up the Python kernel that is behind this Jupyter notebook. And we'll give it a second to do its thing. Okay, so it's running and it produces a plot for me. Okay, so that's a pretty good start. So now this just shows you sort of first light. So let's take the next step in what we want to do here. Let's see. So now I'm asking Copilot to create a data set consisting of a random sampling of independent variables and then to produce the corresponding dependent variables, in this case, a specific function. And so Copilot's going to generate some code for me. And even if you haven't, oh, and I asked it to just print out the data set. Even if you're not familiar with code, this is pretty compact code. So from a computer science perspective, you know, this is not too bad. But I'm giving it a very specific sort of statement. And here it's printing out this data set, and to a first order, you know, it looks okay. So now what I want to do is create a plot of this data. The direction that I'm going with this is I'm actually going to ask Copilot to build an AI model, a regressor model, to predict this particular data. So now I'm asking it to create a scatter plot of this data so that you can see what it looks like. And this is kind of stupid. It's creating a complete new data set containing what we just printed. So this is the AI being not very smart here. Okay, so here's what a scatter plot of that data looks like. And so let's see, I have like 3 more prompts that I'm going to issue. They get a little bit more complicated. Oops. So now I'm asking Copilot to generate a random forest regressor, which is a simple AI model that's going to predict the Y values given the X values. And so it thinks for a minute. Let's see what happens. And today it's not actually successfully generating the code. So let me switch over here. This is what I did yesterday. I was afraid something like this might happen. I created the scatter plot of the data. The prompt that I just entered, Copilot generated this code yesterday. I don't know why it's not generating it today. And when I evaluate the model efficacy using mean squared error, I get this, you know, nice low value. I'm not going to continue on with the prompt in the other notebook because, as luck would have it with demos, things go wrong, and so something went wrong here. I asked Copilot to compare the predicted values with the ground truth, and so here you see the result of that. And then I asked Copilot to show me the ground truth and the predictions along with a depiction of the function that I had to begin with. And so that's what the result was. So let me stop with Copilot. There's always some risk in doing live demos, and here we see, oops, hang on a second. There we go. Okay, so let's reflect on the results from what I've just showed you, as well as from the project as a whole. And so one question is, does it improve productivity? And so what we found is that Copilot can quickly generate code from prompts, which is nice. The more specific the prompt, the better the code that you got. And one pleasant surprise is that not only does it generate code, but it'll also maybe make a suggestion in terms of, have you thought about looking at this other topic, right? Which has actually been pretty helpful. Does it produce better code than humans? For me personally, as a lifelong coder, sometimes it's easier for me just to write the code than it is to try and figure out how to describe in English what I want the code to do. It does save time looking at details in manuals and stuff, but sometimes its information is out of date, right? So Copilot is trained on a corpus of information, which was a snapshot of the past, and current software has evolved and it's different than what Copilot's referencing. So in terms of Gen AI in the computer science department at San Francisco State, I've highlighted this quote down here at the bottom of the slide. So Jensen Huang is the CEO of NVIDIA, and in an article in February, he said, the future of a career as a coder is dead. And this freaked everybody out, because that's why many computer science students are computer science students. They want to learn how to code so that they can get a job. And if an industry leader is saying the future's dead, this is a real wake-up call here. So I have a picture here in the upper right, a cartoon of the Star Trek Borg, and their motto is resistance is futile. And so Gen AI is part of the future, and in the CS department, we're actually embracing it. We're trying to figure out how to make good pedagogical use of it. It's used in the classroom, it's used for assignments, and we feel that it's important to teach people how to use it so that they're competitive in the job market, but also so that they understand the ethical considerations. In fact, one of our master's programs is in ethical AI. So here's a list of resources. I can share the slides and you can go check this stuff out. Copilot is free for educators and students. Interestingly, there was a recent article from last month in the Communications of ACM in which they looked at measuring Copilot's impact on productivity. This is interesting reading. And from the computer science education community, there have been recent papers looking at how Copilot is used in the computer science curriculum. And so one of the findings from this Denny paper here is that when applied to CS1 and CS2 problems, so first year and second year computer science problems, Copilot produces the wrong answer about half the time. And so you saw evidence of that today. I gave a very specific prompt and Copilot didn't actually generate the code. So, this happens. So I'm happy to share these slides and hopefully you can make good use of it. And that's it. Thanks.